So it's early in the morning and I want to get started with finishing up these papers. So yesterday it really spurred me to organize. So I went through all the papers we've done and I've got 10 more to do. So I've got that all set up. Just gonna and I'm gonna just lay it on top, and then I'm gonna take a skewer and I'm just gonna make some marks that I like. I'm gonna make these circles. See what we get. I want it random. I don't want it perfect. So yeah, so that's interesting. I like that. Okay, for the tea bag paper, I'm going to use the jelly plate just to kind of hold it. And I want to just do a small pattern. So I'm getting some white, and I like white on this brown. So I think I'm just going to do some random dots on here. All right, for the next tea bag, I'm going to stay with a very simple pattern, but I'm going to go with black, and I'm going to use a credit card and just make stripes on this. So I'm just going to pick up black on my credit card and just all right. One in white, one in black. All right, I'm happy with those. Okay, for the coffee filter paper, I'm going to use a stencil. And I mixed up some green, and I've just got a brush. And I'm just gonna lightly drag this over really quickly. Like that. And then I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna lay it on top. And then I'm gonna grab a piece of random paper and rub that. Okay. So on this piece, I picked up the print, and then when I lift the stencil, I've got the print there. So I love that. I love picking up the paint that was on top of the stencil, and I like the pattern it made through the stencil. So for the notebook paper, I want to do just a simple pattern, and I love dots. So far I have these kind of dots and circles. So I'm just going to do a simple black random pattern on here just really quickly. Yeah, so I like that. On the second one, I'm also going to use the black. I have this one that we did earlier, but I'm going to do a thicker line. And I'm just going to start like here, and I'm just going to let my brush roll. I just want kind of a thick pattern. Something like that. A piece of that will look really good somewhere. Okay, now we're to copy paper. Just simple circles like this. Just something different than we have already. So for the second piece of copy paper, I'm going to make a random mark with a oil pastel. Not easy. Let's see here. Just making a random mark. Then I'm going to take my jelly plate, and I'm going to take that green that we mixed up earlier and put just a thin coat on the jelly plate. And I'm going to roll this out. I just want a thin coat to kind of seal this. I'm going to put this on a sheet of something to rub it with. Let's see what we get. I have no idea. Okay, I love that. It's very grungy. Look at the, it kind of picked it up in a pattern. Let me dry it and show you what we've got. Okay, so this is what we ended up with, and I love it. It was totally on the fly. I hadn't done this before. All right, next is the graph paper. And I think for one of them, what I'm going to do is roll out some white on my jelly plate. I think I'll do that green again. I'm trying to stay in the same color family because I want to do a collage using a bunch of these. So I'm going to take this green on top of this white, and I'm going to make some dots. But these I want normally I do them really random, but for some reason these I want to be kind of spaced out. So I put the white down because I wanted to knock out some of the graph lines, and then I put the green dots down. Oh wow, look at that. And it picked up some of the black that was on there. You can still see the graph paper, but you've got these random green dots. Well, these organized green dots, I should say. But it picked up some of what was already on the plate. So Yeah, I love that. All right, here's my other jelly plate, and I'm going to put white down again just to knock just want to knock it back a little bit. So I'm gonna just pick up some white. Pull, see what we get. Yeah, see, it knocked the graph back a bit, but you can still see what you have. Okay, so I dried that. I think I'm gonna do a diamond pattern, just freehand. Start right here. I'm using a Prismacolor pencil, and this is green ochre. And I'm just gonna do a random, very loose diamond pattern. I like that. I might just go through and hit the lines one more time now that I've got the pattern. Okay, so you can still see some of the graph paper. I love that color, that green ochre. And very happy with that. Before we go on, I just wanted to show you some of these together, how interesting they look when you start putting them together like this. I'm getting super excited to make a collage using a bunch of these. All right, so I have a piece of stationery here. So I thought what I would do, it's an old piece and it's pink. So I'm just gonna take a Derwent sketching, and I just wanna do some big ovals. And then I'm just gonna paint around them in black. Just kind of going around. It's really soaking in the paint. I think I'll probably end up doing 2 layers. I think I'm going to grab a flat brush and just give it one more coat. So here it is all touched up, and I think that's really pretty. Okay, so here's another piece of stationery, and I have a fine liner. I've got India ink in it, and I'm just going to get it started down here. But I'm basically just going to do kind of like if I was doing script writing, but this doesn't really say anything, and I'm just going to do it like this. So there it is, and I think it has such a cool look. It's really wet right now, so I'm gonna carefully move it and let it dry. So this has a lot of puddled ink. So what I did was I grabbed some of my tissue paper and I'm just twirling it like this and then sticking it in and letting it pull the ink up. I'm just taking little bits of it and just twirling it. And wherever I see a kind of a puddle, I'm just letting it pull it up. But I'm interested what this tissue is going to look like after I do this. Let's see, there's a puddle right there. All right, that's pretty full. Let's see what it looks like. All right, I did a little bit more to it, but here is what the tissue ended up looking like after I pulled up the puddles of ink. Yeah, I hadn't done that before, but I just thought, well, let me just use this napkin, and I think it's a cool effect. Okay, our next paper is the graph paper. And we ended up having this left on the jelly plate after we pulled this piece. So I want to pick this up with the graph paper, but I'm hoping to still be able to see the lines of the graph, the little squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use matte medium. I'm going to pour a pretty good amount on here. I'm going to roll that out. I'm going to put the graph paper down. I'm going to use another brayer to make really good contact. Then I'm going to set this aside to dry, because sometimes when you're trying to pick something up on the jelly plate, if you're trying to pick up a ghost print, it's good to let it dry and then it'll pull up more. Okay, for the second piece of graph paper, I'm going to take my new set of Pentel oil pastels, and I think I just want a stripe, kind of a teal blue, and I just want to do stripes. There. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put watercolor over this. We'll stay in the greens and blues. So I've mixed up a green, and I'm just going to go over it. Okay, so this is the other graph sheet, and I let it dry, so let's just see if we get anything. We used matte medium. Whoops. It's going to be The paper's not super thick, so it might be a little tricky to pull, but I'm gonna tear it up for collage paper anyway, so if it tears a little bit, that is okay. All right, I'm pulling. It was ripping here, so I came to the other side. This is interesting because I was trying to pull up the those dots that it left, but look what I got instead, which is really cool. But it's not really the dots, it's not really the ghost print. There must have been so much on the plate. But look at the different patterns I got. Okay, so I love it just like it is. If I wanted to, I could pick up on that pattern because it came from this stencil. And I could pick up a little bit of off-white and just add a few of those into the dark areas. Yeah, so just trying to pick up that pattern and continue it where I had the dark spot, but that's a beautiful piece of paper. Yeah, I love the colors and the pattern in that. Okay, next is the magazine paper, and I found 2 pieces of magazine paper with pattern on them. So I think I'm going to do this one first, and I'm just going to do a simple white stripe. I'm going to use a Posca. And I'm going to use a ruler. And I'm just going to do thin stripes. So the other piece of magazine paper, I like the pattern on it. So I think I'm going to just take my Posca black and just put some random tick marks on it. I love this mark. Let's see what we've got. All right, that gives me enough of that. I'm gonna just tear that right there, and that gives me another piece to work with later, but like that. You know, you can hold it up against other stuff and see how cool it's gonna look. Okay, the last paper is the pattern paper. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my jelly plate and I'm gonna put just, I love white on the brown, kind of like this. So I'm gonna make just some big stripes this way and that way and try to pick it up. It's almost the whole jelly plate, so let's see what we get. So I have white paint and a brush, and like I said, I'm going to try to do this quick because I don't want it to dry. So I'll just do like stripe, stripe. Just an interesting pattern. I don't want the paint too thick. All right, And let's just lay this. Such a fun way to pick up pattern. And like I said before, I could have painted on the paper, but for some reason, most of the time, I love the way it picks up off of the jelly plate. So just trying to get a good contact, but I don't want to leave it on there too long. So let's see what we get here. Perfect, exactly what I wanted. Okay, for the last piece of pattern paper, I was going through my stuff and I found that shape that I like. So I'm just gonna put 3 of those on with a really thin line with a Posca. And I'm just gonna not think about it too much, just throw 3 of these shapes on here. With the thin lines that were already there and a little bit of writing, and then that cool kind of a leaf shape. Very simple, but I really like it. Okay, so here's all 30 papers that we made. So I laid them all out on the table and they look so cool together. I will be showing you different ways that I use them in paintings and collages, cards, all kind of different things, but I did want to just show you how they all look together. I wanted to show you this piece I'm working on. It's a 20 by 20, and it's using collage papers that I had, not from this video, but that I already had. And I put them together using matte medium, and I love all the patterns, but I felt like it could be knocked back some. So I used a white gesso and a brayer, and I knocked some of it back. And I like the way it's turning out. Just one more thing. This is a piece I made during this video, and today's my husband's birthday, so I took a piece that I had practiced on and made him a card. I turned it sideways and put it on here, and I think it turned out so cool. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.